Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Today I will be breaking down the second week of November data after the daylight savings have been enabled, and now our Asian range settings changes according to the situation in the market, as I have also shown you in my previous videos, right? So looking at the news, on Monday there is no news, Tuesday there is CPI, so I don't trade CPIs directly, I cold turkey cut it out. Wednesday there is CPI again on GBP, so and also PPI, so I will not trade that day also. On Tuesday there is unemployment claim, so I will look for trades on Thursday and Friday. So news tells us if I am gonna trade that day or not. So now looking at the weekly, as it is a weekly breakdown video, now looking at the weekly, clearly we can see the weekly has been reacting off of this sort of demand on the weekly time frame, right? This demand here caused this break of structure, so this is a strong demand, and now the market has been trending bearish. From several weeks the market was not doing anything, it was literally ranging, going up down, whereas the NFP week we can see clearly gave us the bias being bullish. Obviously the bulls were so strong, but what happened was the next week it swept this previous week high, swept the liquidity from this high, and then now it's continuing heading towards the downside. Does that mean my bias is now bearish? No mate, my bias is not clear because the market has gone up, down, but I will rely on buys more. This I've figured out through this backtesting. Whenever a situation like this happens in the market, I will rely on buys more rather than sells, and I will rely on buys more according to how these candles are closing, but the bias is not one of the clearest, okay? And if I show you the call outs, tomorrow we'll make a weekly breakdown video, okay? So I'm making now, not a problem. So you can go and always look at the volume entering your marked zone, and you can anticipate that zone will hold or not. You can anticipate if a zone will fail or if a zone will hold by looking at the momentum, looking at the volume entering the zone. 100% true. There was a demand zone here. If this demand zone, look at this demand zone is holding. How do we know that? Because the candles are getting smaller and smaller. Whereas if a candle like this bearish candle has appeared here, then I would anticipate this demand zone to not hold and continue heading towards the downside. Continuation setups do work and has a very good win rate. The market will not always give you your perfect Asian range liquidity sweep setup. You have to adapt to the market. 100% true again. I have been backtesting for a while, right? I have noticed that if the market is following a trend and is very high volume, we get continuation setups more than we get the Asian range liquidity setup. This is the Asian range liquidity setup, for example. This is the continuation setup. So we get continuation setups more than we get those Asian range order block clear liquidity, right? Yeah, maybe you will get once a week, that's enough, to be honest. But if you want, like, the markets are not perfect, right? Anything can happen, so you have to adapt. Even continuation setups you can take in the M15 fair value gaps, like I have made my own, not my own, but obviously I was backtesting, so I figured out that if you want to take continuation setups, you can take it in the M15 fair value gaps clearly. And also there are some pros and cons that I've also derived on some other videos. You can watch that if you wanna get more information on that. Whereas not trading on Wednesday gave us our bias, okay? This one I will show you why I've written this. Whenever my weekly bias is not clear, I trade with the daily bias, and it works as I am backtesting and seeing the result for myself. Yeah, one more thing, the weekly bias for the week, going on for the week, is not clear, right? But what I will do, if the weekly bias is not clear, it's slightly bullish bias is more relevant than bearish, but I will anticipate the next week to continue to the upside. But my weekly bias is not one of the clearest, so I will go with the daily bias as I've written there. And if I show you this call out, whenever a huge move happens in the market like this, a huge move as in this NFP week was a huge down move, very huge down move, and also this week CPI had a very huge move. I'll show you how. And whenever something like that happens in the market, it's better to wait on your hands and wait for the market to be constant and then trade, bro. You don't want to rush to take a trade. So now going on the weekly, there was no bias. Now the daily bias. Now let me show you the trades. Going on daily, on Monday there was no news. So on Monday, if I was looking for something, it would be bias, but my bias was not clear. So in this situation where the weekly bias is not clear and the daily bias is not enough, I will wait for the Monday. Monday can go up and Monday can go down because of the weekly bias is not clear. So on Monday I was not looking for anything, and yeah, I probably waited for Monday. And if I show you the DXY bias, the DXY bias was clearly not. I was also waiting for Monday to close on DXY so that my bias can be clear. I will only go to DXY to show the daily bias, as I always tell you in my videos. And yeah, now going on Monday, my bias was not clear, so I will not look for anything. And potentially the Asian range did something like this. I was not looking for anything. And if I show you my hourly on Monday, I have not even drawn any zones. That's the reason. That indicates that I was not looking for anything, but waiting for Monday gave me my bias for Tuesday. You may be asking how, mate. Let me show you then. Clearly we can see, look, patience pays in the market, right? Clearly we can see now the market has made a higher high on the daily, breaking structure to the upside, higher low, a bullish pin bar, and Monday closed as a bullish candle. Now what we can do going on Tuesday? On Tuesday, obviously I will look for buys. As my weekly bias is not clear, I will trade with the daily bias, as I've written on my call out. And this candle, it has closed a very beautiful bullish engulfing candlestick. And also there is a pattern here. If you can notice this is a morning star pattern which forms a continuation. It's a continuation candlestick pattern, and it is forming on the daily time frame, which is strong. So now I will be looking for buys going on Tuesday. And if I show you my DXY quickly, then also DXY is now, my bias is bearish on DXY, and both are aligning to the T. Whenever both GU and DXY are aligning, that's when you want to trade. So now obviously my bias is bullish, so I will go to the 4 hourly to look for price action, if there is any change of character or not. So you can argue there was a change of character somewhere around here, but this here is very choppy, so I don't consider it. I will go to the hourly to look for any change of characters. Whereas on the hourly there is a clean change of character somewhere around here. Higher low I have marked, I can guarantee you I have marked that. There was a break of structure here. The change of character happened somewhere around here. This was a break of structure. This was a demand I was looking to trade from. And now I will wait for the Asian range to close, obviously, as I do. And also if I show you the news, on Tuesday there was CPI, bro. Tuesday I was not looking for any trade because there was CPI, but if I was looking for something, it would be this demand zone somewhere around there. So what did the market do? I will not even go to the M15 because there's no use, because it's the same thing. On the hourly this was the higher high, and I was not looking for any trade, so no meaning on going on M15. Look at this, bro, what CPI did. CPI, high impact news in the market determines the direction of the market. We know that, right? Clearly we can see CPI came in bad for the US dollar, and look at the move, mate. It made literally, how many pips it is? 185 pip move in one news candle, bro. If you can know where the news is gonna come, you can be profitable, but that's not sustainable in this business. You have to have a plan and so on and so forth. So now going on Wednesday, my bias is clearly bullish, yeah, but also my bias is bullish going on Wednesday, but also there's a huge fair value gap. To be honest, whenever something like this happens in the market, that's why I've written this call out, mate. You may be asking, whenever a huge move happens like this in the markets, it's better to wait and see for the price, what the price wanna do. It wanna fill the fair value gap. It's not a fair value gap yet, obviously, it's a rebalance. Maybe the price wanna rebalance and then continue, or looking at the strength of the trend, it might just continue something like this. Anything can happen. The bias is not clear going on Wednesday. And also on Wednesday there was CPI, GBP CPI, and core PPI USD. So looking at that, on Wednesday I was not looking for any trades. Yeah, you may be arguing, if I was looking for something, it would be buys, obviously. So I have also marked, I guess I marked the buys or not. Let me see. If I was looking for something, it would be buys from somewhere around there. And also on Tuesday I have taken a trade, yeah. Okay, let me show you quickly. On Tuesday I have taken a buy from this sort of demand, which was a low probability trade, because on Monday I was looking for buys, yeah, because my daily bias was bullish. So it was a break-even trade here after sweeping this inducement. Obviously the London early buyers on the London, it gave inducement, and then it made the move on New York session, which gave us our 1:3. So it was a winner trade on Monday, but I will not journal this because it was not with my bias. I only traded with my bias. My bias was not clear, so Monday I was waiting for the market to close. So going on Wednesday, my bias was not clear, and also maybe the market will go up directly, or it might fill up this fair value gap. So now going on the lower time frames, let me show you. On Wednesday, I believe I was not looking for anything. On Wednesday, I was not looking to trade. Sometimes not trading is trading, bro, and it will help you a lot in your journey. If the market bias is not clear, if the news has came out like that, don't trade, mate. Only trade the days where you are confident in your bias, and so on and so forth. Clearly waiting for Wednesday gave you your bias for Thursday. How? Okay, let me show you. I have not traded Wednesday. I waited for Wednesday's candle to close, and literally Wednesday's candle closed to the T. Now there is a fair value gap. Ask yourself, the market made a new higher high breaking structure to the upside, right? So it can go up, yeah, anything can happen in the market, but it also makes sense to come at least fill up this fair value gap and then reject, and then continuing to the upside. So on Thursday, my vision was, I was looking for sells rather than buys. It was not aligning with my daily bias. Sorry, there was no weekly bias, so obviously I was looking for sales going on Thursday, just purely based on the fact that there was a fair value gap which can get filled. So that was what I was looking for on Thursday. And also how DXY closed was a bullish pin bar, so it was literally the market was telling us that it wants to go and fill up the fair value gap. And after seeing that, I go to 4 hour to look for any change of characters. There was none. There was no change of characters on the 4 hourly, and also the Wednesday there was a change of character on the hourly. You can see this was the low that caused this high, higher lows, higher highs, lower lows, change of character. This was a break of structure. You can argue there was a break of structure here. That's why I have marked this supply zone, right? This break of structure was here, so I was looking for sells from this sort of supply right there. I will wait for the Asian range to close, and also the Asian range closed something like that. Now let me go to the lower time frames and show you if I took this trade or not. And now going on the 30 minutes, this might be the supply. You can argue this is the supply zone, but this supply zone is not strong because this didn't cause any break of structure, whereas this supply zone here caused this break of structure to the downside. So also there are rules to mark the auto blocks, right? So also the market was trending down like anything. It was going down, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. So it made sense for a continuation setup. So what I did, continuation setups I take with in the fair value gap, right? So also let me show you quickly. Always look at the volume entering your marked zone. Why I've written this? Because of this fair value gap. Continuation setups we take from the fair value gap, but I marked this fair value gap, yeah. And after seeing this candle body close above the fair value gap with huge momentum, this fair value gap is now irrelevant. We can't trade because of how if the market is not respecting your marked zone, that means that zone is not valid. So obviously I didn't trade that, and overall the market did have the move to the downside, I guess. No, it literally reversed on us, right? So that small things will save you from big losses in the markets. So now going on Friday, now literally my bias was again not clear. The fair value gap got filled this much, and it is also making a higher low, and the bias on the daily was not clear on Friday. So what I will do, I will go to DXY, and even the DXY is not clear. It's a doji, but it's more bullish than bearish. So what I did was looking for buys on DXY and sells for GBP USD. You have to literally correlate GBP USD with DXY, and if you can do that, mate, you will be profitable. So now the hourly has clearly changed character to the upside again. So this bullish move, and also this was not aligning again on Friday. It was not aligning. The bias was not clear on Friday, and also on Friday there was retail sales news, which is London session news, also not a high probability day to trade. And on Thursday there was unemployment claims. So going on Friday, I was looking for, let me see, Going on Friday, I was not looking for anything. As you can see, I didn't mark any zone because the higher time frame was saying something else, the lower time frame was saying something else, DXY was not clear. So this week overall was a very high impact news driven week, and also there were no opportunities in the market. Sometimes there will be weeks where you will not get opportunities like this, and that's totally fine, it's part of the game. So now I was looking for nothing on Friday. If I was looking for something, that would be sells, but it was not clear. So yep, okay, so my Asian range setting is also wrong, mate. So now this is the correct Asian range, whereas Friday went to the upside. And now let's go to another week. Clearly the weekly has now continued heading towards the upside, body closing above the previous weekly week high. And now going on to the next week, my target will be this draw of liquidity right here, and my bias will be bullish. And also we know the weekly repricing. If Monday, Tuesday goes down, doesn't matter, I will still look for buys. And continuation setups, you have to work more on continuation setups. And also DXY has closed something like this. And yeah, it was a very good week to learn when to not trade and when to wait, when to show patience in the market. Yeah.